For the latest film interviews, reviews, and everything making news in pop culture, subscribe to Film Companion now. At number 5, Love Aajkal. Love Aajkal was a confounding film about confused people.
मुझे full Zoe चाहिए, अंदर वाली, बाहर वाली, career वाली, family वाली, full.
Like in the first 2009 Love Aajkal, the story was about two love stories in different times, one present day and the other in the 90s. Once again, an older, wiser confidant, here played by Randeep Hooda, tries to steer the young couple through their tumultuous emotions. And once again, Imtiaz Ali tried to make a case for the redemptive power of love. But despite the sparkling music by Pritham and ample star power, Karthik Aaryan, Sara Ali Khan and Randeep, the film tanked because the narrative was a bewildering mess. The fatal flaw was the character of Zoe, played by Sara, a woman with a brittle exterior and fragile interior. Battling between love and career, Zoe came off as shrill and annoying. Her classic line, "Tum mujhe tang karne lage ho," inspired some terrific memes, but by the end of the film, that's exactly what I wanted to say to her. This love story missed the mark by a mile.
तुम मुझे तंग करने लगे हो.
At number 4, Coolie Number 1. Coolie Number 1 is a remake of a remake, so there was little chance that the film would offer something innovative, but I was surprised at how outdated and tired the film turned out to be.
Shao, shimashoki, shamashi, juice ki maki.
From the lame jokes to the idea of what a Hindi film hero and heroine should be, to the constant posturing. The film pretends to celebrate dignity of labor but actually undermines it at every step. Varun Dhawan in brown face tried vigorously to rescue this film from itself, but it was an impossible task.
और प्यार से लोग मुझे बुलाते हैं कूली नंबर 1. कोई शक?
What bothered me the most was Sara Ali Khan, an intelligent, attractive actor, reducing herself to a well-dressed prop. I think this entire team can do so much better than this.
Heaven on the dock, man. Beauty in the frock, man.
Chal be, turkey.
At number 3, Mrs. Serial Killer. Stop calling me Joy, I'm not a fucking ice cream. This immortal line is delivered by Manoj Bajpayee playing Mrityunjoy Mukherjee in the film Mrs. Serial Killer.
टॉर्च अभी तूने देखा ही कहाँ है, वो तो तू अब देखेगी.
Mrityunjoy is a respected gynecologist in an unnamed hill station. When the bodies of pregnant women with their fetuses sliced out are discovered, Mrityunjoy is arrested for the crime. So, his wife Sona, played by Jacqueline Fernandez, decides to get her husband out by replicating the crime. I think only director, writer, editor and composer Shirish Kundar can explain the logic of that. Shirish was perhaps going for a gothic horror film, or at least that's what the saturated colors and mood lighting suggests, but what we got was an unhinged train wreck. In one scene, Sona tries to perform an abortion by watching a YouTube tutorial. Honestly, you can't make this stuff up.
Who are you talking to, you freak?
At number 2, Sadak 2. Maybe there should be some rule about how many years after a film's release can a sequel be made, because clearly 29 years is too many.
मैंने कैलाश जाने की बुकिंग कराई है यहाँ से.
आपको इस शहर में बहुत सारे ड्राइवर मिल जाएंगे. मुझे माफ कीजिए.
Talent has faded, tastes have changed. It becomes impossible to recreate the earlier magic. Prime exhibit, Sadak 2, in which Mahesh Bhatt returned from a 2-decade-long directing sabbatical. And Sanjay Dutt reprised his role as Ravi, a mentally unstable driver. Here he rescues a young girl, Arya, played by Alia Bhatt, from a sadistic godman. With a logic-free script, hammy performances and terrible dialogue, Sadak 2 felt like it was made in the 90s.
ऊपर वाला हमारे साथ है इस सड़क पर.
I soldiered through it by paying attention to the jewelry. The Dhongi Baba, played by an unintentionally comical Makarand Deshpande, wears terrific bracelets and necklaces. And that was by far the best thing in this movie.
यहाँ कोई नहीं मरे.
अब मरेगा.
And at number 1, Lakshmi. Lakshmi was an equal opportunity offender. The title, which was first Lakshmi Bomb, offended thin-skinned Hindu groups for connecting bomb with a Hindu goddess. The film offended the rest of us.
बताना कैसी लग रही हूँ मैं?
हाँ अच्छी लग रही हो.
अच्छी लग रही हूँ ना? I love you. छोड़ मुझे. हाथ क्यों लगाता है? शर्म नहीं आती? हर की कहीं का.
A remake of the 2011 horror comedy Kanchana, Lakshmi featured Akshay Kumar in savior mode yet again. The film ostensibly propagated a message of inclusion for transgenders and the differently abled. Even an interfaith marriage was bunged in to show how progressive the makers are. But the good intentions were contradicted by the film itself. Lakshmi was transphobic, sexist, shrieky, gaudy, and just all around awful. The most curious aspect was Akshay's physically strenuous but emotionally vacant performance. Perhaps he understood all along that Lakshmi was truly a bomb.
तेरा पति है ना हरामी टेढ़ा है पर तेरा है.
Tell me, what are your best and worst films of 2020? What does your list look like? Please tell us in the comments below.